Hey YouTube, good evening, good day, whatever time it is you check out this video. How's it going? Hope everybody's doing good. So this is a VR to Step 1 Survival's video question. Really good stuff. A lot of people did a lot of really good VRs to this already. So it's really a good discussion point and something for people to take into consideration and just to think through a lot of these measures. So the question is about your EDC during SHTF. How will you transition? You know, you see all these pocket dumps videos and stuff like that on a regular basis in people's EDC now. Well, how's it going to change when things get bad, right? So, and on top of that, what I was thinking and what I would just like to add or people to consider is you're going to have different layers of EDC depending on the event as well. If you got a natural disaster in your area, your EDC is going to be different than if you're in martial law. Or if you're in, earthquake, grid down, end of the world, all these different, depending on how much communication you have with the outside, will depend upon your force protection level, what your status is with electricity will depend upon what you need to have on you. So there's a lot of factors that go into that. And so what I want to address here, as I was looking at it, is this would be my EDC if we get an earthquake, grid down situation. It's something we're going to recover from, but it's definitely bad. Maybe something a little stronger than the one of those California earthquakes, but it hits here on this side, and significant damage to infrastructure, significant power outages. It's not just something that's going to get repaired in 3 or 4 days. In the region, regionally, it'll be a pretty big disaster is what I'm focusing on. So almost Katrina-like potentially, thinking maybe, but I don't know, we don't have hurricanes, so I can't really look at that scenario. So my EDC wouldn't match up with that, but an earthquake. And the first thing I would think about is, what do I everyday carry now in my EDC bag? And what items out of here would come into my, body? What would I have on my body at that point once I identified the need, the event happened, right? So this is excluding extreme rule of law, martial law, EMP, but how would you even know it was an EMP? In a lot of respects, it would take a couple of days, so that situation would devolve. This is kind of like more immediate, the events happened. So a lot of this stuff is going to come out of here and go on to the body as your everyday carry. Things you're going to need. So I'm going to pull up my EDC bag and I'll pull up the stuff as we go. So if you haven't seen my EDC video for this bag, I'll point to it, put it in the box or something, to put it in the comments below. But it's definitely what I consider a fairly robust daily bag. I mean, everybody's a little different, but this is literally what I carry around every day. And I would pull from that first initially to meet my needs. Now, time of year is going to matter, right? As far as clothing and what you're wearing, I always have in my EDC a cold weather hat, so that could immediately go to use if I needed it, and put that either in a cargo pocket or on my person to have with me wherever I went. I'm always thinking first, right? Some things that I would immediately want to bring on board as well. Bring my flashlight. I want to bring my flashlight on board quickly. It is if we can get this to focus, Streamlight. So I can immediately transition that into my pocket, or even onto my belt with a little case here. If I thought my pockets were getting full, then it probably would do that. So it'd be handy and not bumping around. Now in SHTF, there's a lot of different needs. You got to think power outages and stuff. You're going to be potentially writing a lot more. So if you don't have it already in your EDC bag, you need a notebook. So having something to write notes with, write messages, write letters, leave notes behind, leave notes for your neighbors when you stop by their house, whatever. I think would be very useful to have in your pocket on you. I would pull my extra mags to go onto my body, so I had them with me. So pull my extra mags to go with me with my everyday carry 45. Those of you who watch the channel have seen the piece, but that would definitely be an immediate carry thing. A roll of duct tape that I have in my EDC, just a roll of duct tape, could come in handy. It's easy to put in the pocket. It's not a big deal. Really, I would be carrying a lot of my pack around, my day pack around, but putting things in my pocket, because what's probably going to happen is I'm going to add to my EDC bag as well once everything goes down. So I'm not just going to rely on what's in my bag. I'm going to augment it and add to it as well to go where I'll go. Add my lighter. Gotta add the lighter to my pocket. I keep it in my bag most times. I don't smoke, but it's good to have available, and I would immediately add that to my pocket items as well. I always have lip balm with me. I like Bliss Sticks, but obviously if you like chapstick or whatever, it's whatever you like. But especially in the sun out here in the desert, you're going to be extended side, work outside or whatever. I figure you can start a fire with it. You can put it, use the chapstick as a fire starting item. I usually have an extra one in my bag as well, but I always have one in my pocket item. They mentioned in the Step 1 Survivals video, he talked about you wouldn't need your keys necessarily. Now, like I'm talking about the scenario I'm talking about, I would still have my keys on me, because I am talking about, a recovery situation, not a EMP, it's all gone down. We need to prepare for the transition to the, the end of society or whatever. So I would still have my keys on me in these scenarios. Just to clarify what he talked about, which was a good point. There's going to be a diminishing point of returns. You're not going to have your wallet on you necessarily in his scenario. Like, you wouldn't need ID. When I'm talking about, you'd probably still need those things that are in your wallet. There's probably going to be a lot of times when there's things like that, National Guard checkpoints to let you back into certain areas or whatever, depending on how looting is going or whatever. So there'd be that, plus my everyday carry knife, which is just a basic Winchester pocket knife, nothing special. So one key item that I would put in a pocket is a pressure bandage. I have a series of pressure bandages, and when I bought these were only $2. That was years ago, like literally 6 or 7 years ago. But I would immediately put one of those in my pocket. I carry one in my day pack, and I would immediately want to transition one of those to a pocket so that I had some semblance of immediate first aid to an immediate situation. I have my other little owie kit basically that goes in the everyday carry, but I would augment that with a more trauma related kit strapped to the outside, which I've shown. It comes in my vehicle. I could transition that to my EDC bag if I wasn't going to be in the vehicle or whatever. One thing that I would consider, and I'd transition to, is I'd go to a Leatherman. I'd bring a Leatherman. I have one in the vehicle. I also have one in my tactical kit with a pouch, so I can immediately transition this to my belt. Which I didn't talk about EDC clothing, but basically be wearing cargo pants and a shirt, depending on what the weather's like. It could be a sweatshirt or something. but we'd want to bring that along because that'd be useful to have tools, a tool capability with that. So I've got quite a few tools. I guess I could organize this a little bit, right? Also out of basically what I call my tactical kit, my standby stuff, I got a shemagh. Here in the desert, obviously a shemagh would be very useful, especially when we're outside a lot. Earthquake scenario, who knows, you know, lights out, to be walking around in the sun a lot or whatever. A shemagh would immediately be useful, and I could pull that out and bring that to my everyday carry. Obviously just wear it around the neck, keep it low profile except when I needed it, you know, put it over the head or whatnot. Hopefully it wouldn't stand out too much. It's not super tactical, but I mean, it's brown, it matches the environment, so it's not like it shouldn't stand out too terribly much, which in a normal, you know, it's not the end of the world scenario, we still have some form of control. It shouldn't highlight me too much, hopefully in that respect. Going deeper into my EDC carry, what I would want on my body is a good pair of work gloves. I'd probably need one just for whatever I was doing. I do have a pair that I carry in my bag, so depending on where I was and how I was moving, I could bring out those gloves to put on my body to carry. I could clip them to myself through my belt, use my small carabiner on my keys to clip these on, or just put them in a pocket, stuff them in the belt, something like that. That would work too. But what I'm more likely to go to, I'm more likely just to go get a cheap pair of working gloves out of the house and carry those along with me. I figure if I'm helping neighbors out moving debris or whatever, I've got a pair in the pack. I got this pair I could hand off to the neighbor or something if they needed a pair, but I could put those in my carry. And actually we have these out, and it's what we use for everyday stuff. So keeping because these are slightly insulated, so they may not be the best thing, and they are more of a tactical color, I guess, you know, stand out a little bit more. So keep those in reserve till I really need them. And I've got a backup pair with me in general as I carry that around. Just figuring that type of scenario, we're doing a lot of work getting hands out on things and stuff. Now if it was winter time, I do have a pair of contact gloves I could use underneath, as well as just to have on in general if it's really cold, you know, in the winter, dead of winter, nighttime and whatnot. Just a pair of what we call contact gloves, real thin liner glove that you can still grab things with, still have some tactile abilities. I could put those in my person, and that's just a different scenario, but I won't put those out for this purpose. So another thing I would look to carry in some respect, I'd have a lot of stuff in my bag. But I could transition my medical trauma shears to my belt if I thought there'd be a need, especially for an immediate recovery. And talking about earthquake, people collapsing on things, injuries, medical trauma shears could come in handy. So I could clip that onto my belt and immediately have access to those and put those to use as needed. And that's kind of the bulk of everything that I would be transitioning to have on my body. I have some other things in my daily carry bag. I could wear a camelback, depending on what we're doing. You know, I could wear a camelback depending on what we're doing and how much I wanted to drag out, I guess, if I was going to be working a lot. A camelback would go on this list, on this display. I could also just do a 1-quart bottle. Just take the bottle, clip it to my belt. I could do that. It'd kind of get in the way, if you're working a lot, you could set it aside a little bit, just arm's reach or within the area. But if I've got my day bag with me, I've got 2 quarts in there, and that would be sufficient. But if I really thought I needed it, I could wear a CamelBak on my back. So that's kind of the breakdown of what I consider an EDC in that scenario. Obviously, it could vary differently if it was a different scenario. I mean, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking I'm going to be going around helping people potentially. There could be houses, damaged, having to cut into things, do some minor tool work, but I could just break out the tools from the Jeep or from the garage, take them with me. It wouldn't be an everyday, it wouldn't be on me all the time, tools like that. But I've got a little bit of stuff to deal with, a little bit of problem, just enough to get me in trouble really. But you got things quite handy immediately. That's what the whole purpose of the EDC is. And in particular, I would just take note of the paper note writing and anything where all your cell phones are down, all this stuff disappears. Like, you're going to need a way to leave or send messages or write things, I think. And having that in your everyday carry, a notebook of some type, is not thought of generally as much as other things, because we are so dependent upon those technological devices that we don't realize when they fail what happens. But I mean, everything else is pretty much standard, what other people think about. Just have something for medical kit, medical supplies. Again, I would transition a big trauma capability to my backpack that would then be able to utilize. So while I pulled a lot of that out of my everyday bag, I would be refilling this with more stuff, that like a trauma bag, medical kit, and other things that essentially I would be taking everywhere as well, unless I knew the situation was such that I didn't need it. Obviously, if the security situation deteriorated, the weapons side could get squirrely, and that would be a whole different discussion. Really, you're talking about without rule of law type situations, marauders and everything. But just being in our situation, I don't see that as a likely scenario in a natural disaster. But in the big one, the extreme rule of law situations, everything else, it's a completely different ball game, and it completely changes. So I thought I'd address a more likely scenario of what I would carry. So just an example, folks. Kind of long-winded, I guess, but really wanted to get into the weeds about why I would move certain things to my body and have them on me, even though they're having them by pack and they're almost within arm's reach at all times. But a lot of those things you're going to want more immediate access to, just to up your safety level, to up your security level. You're going to be more aware anyway, so having things more readily available, it's probably going to be more important to have them out there and ready. So thanks for watching, YouTube. Go check out SOS's video. I'll put a bunch of links to a bunch of other ones that were really good. Some good discussion and thoughts put into it, so go check those out. Only one other thing for the EDC would be the Bofang, listening to local repeaters as well as the National Weather Service, and anything else that I wanted to listen to, scanner that I got programmed in. So I could do that, and I would have that Bofang on me as well for my EDC. Don't want to forget the communications. I can talk to Reb. That's what I need.